What's up, everybody? Welcome back or welcome to the Rude Dudes podcast. I am Matt, and I'm joined today with Tyler
Hello.
and Justin,
Yo,
and we are the Rude Dudes. So today is going to be kind of a mishmash of an episode. We're going to start off with a good old rant by Justin and I recently went to a an anime con. We go every single year. Um, and we like to spend money, we like to buy some things, right? And one of the things that, when you go to a con, one of the things that you always anticipate is to get, like, you're paying a little bit more for the items that you purchase. You're buying them from resellers, unless you're at an official stand. And I urge anybody that is going to a con or thinking about going to any, con in general, definitely Google everything that you're wanting to purchase before you purchase it to see if you're getting a good deal. Um, but specifically, going to be talking today. I'm not going to be talking about the booth or what they sell. I'm just going to be very vague with it, and I'm just going to say it's an IP that people like millennials, older Gen Z, they love it.
everyone
Like
knows.
this is an
Everyone knows.
Yep, yeah, it's an IP everybody knows. And there's a booth that's very well known that goes to cons. And I will say that the workers there are very nice. They are very good at what they do. They're very good at explaining things, explaining why it's priced at the reason that it's priced and stuff. And they're more than willing to help you find something that you're looking for if they don't have it, which is really nice too. But they price gouge. They price gouge really badly. I asked about a price of an item. It was $85. I looked it up, found it online for going like for resellers, typically between like 40 and 60. And then I found it officially um, for $39 through like almost an official vendor. It's kind of like they kind of go and they buy it and then they ship it type of a thing. So I'm sure that there's a little bit of a price increase on that, but again, 39 versus 85. Little crazy. But my rant comes in now. I was scrolling on Facebook and I am a part of a group for this specific item. And this group basically they post in there, they talk about like their findings. People will post about like what they are looking for and if anybody's selling it, whatever. The guy that told me the price of this item I was interested in posted something about being at the con, how it was a great weekend, so on and so forth. I was trying to see if he was from the same stand that, is jacking up their prices and seeing if I could support him. So I'm scrolling through his Facebook. He was indeed a part of that group. But the thing that really irked me is that there was a very expensive, very limited quantity item that was released by a specific shop. Again, limited quantity. Um, and he posted in this group that he got four of them and that they were all for him and he didn't know what he was going to do with them or where he was going to put them in his home. And this is a larger conversation, but what really irks me is that he there's no way that this guy bought four for himself. Like he bought four, maybe one for himself and then others to resell. And the thing that irks me about that is that people want like this was a limited quantity item. It was a pretty hot commodity for collectors and stuff. He had one at this anime con that I went to and saw it with my own eyes, and like it just makes me mad because people like really wanted this. It was again a very sought after item, and like it just irks me that he has four of them. He's reselling them and he is probably charging double than what it actually cost when it was on the official site. And I mean like that's just a bigger conversation, but like God, Like scalpers are so annoying and price gouging is so annoying. Like preying on people that like don't really know what they're looking for or what they're doing that might not be super experienced. I can say that I spent a lot of money at this booth last year and I got ripped off. It's just annoying. It really, really makes me mad. And then clicked in my head that the item I was looking for, he basically said that he had multiple and many more that I could take a look at and pick out which one I wanted. Just makes me so mad. Like, stop scalping people.
Yeah.
Scalpers are just the worst.
What gets
I think
me
it's crazy how I was gonna say like it's crazy how like this group of people, and I'm sure like there's many instances of people like this that made a business being scalpers.
Hmm.
And it's just like people who don't know will never like who are unaware don't know and just like spend the extra money to fund these people doing their shitty thing.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
100%.
And
That was like the whole thing with like the scalpers of like graphics cards and like everything. That's my experience
mhm.
with them because like I tried so hard to get my 30. I have a 3080 in my computer. I literally went to the computer store. I'm not gonna say which computer store. I sat out there at 5 o'clock in the morning. I brought a
Oh my
little lawn
God.
chair and everything. And I sat there, I was like, I'm getting this card today. I did that
Yeah.
twice because of
Wow.
how badly I want this card, but I didn't want to pay scalper fee.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, I paid a lot of money for it, but and it's a really good card, but like it's
Right.
not like these people like suck, and there's nothing we can do about it because it's always gonna happen.
I
Hmm.
know. And that's why I urge everybody when you go to a con and you want to buy something, it's very likely that another stand will have what you're looking for, and it could be for a cheaper price. I really urge you to look through the con, make sure that no other stand has it, and then if all else fails, also Google it. Just make sure. Like I did a quick Google of like everything that I bought just to make sure that I was getting a good deal. There was only one exception. I didn't Google one item that I purchased, and that was just because I like saw it like before the con and I was like, okay, if I see this at the con, I'm buying it. So it was just kind of like a don't care. I saw it, I'm buying it, whatever. Um, but yeah, like, stop funding these people. I wish cons would do a little bit better because this booth was like massive this year. And
Hmm.
it makes me sad because I know that people definitely got ripped off.
I
I
think
agree.
the one thing about cons is that they don't really monitor who sells stuff at their I guess convention
Right.
because mainly it's just I from my understanding is it is people or businesses whatever buying spaces.
Mhm.
And well, if they're willing to spend money on spaces, one that's very big, like there was this year,
They're gonna
who
give
are
it to
they?
them.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
gonna give it to them.
my whole thing with that though is that the convention should really be doing their research because there could be other businesses that could have gotten in, you know, that like
Right.
are actual legit. Like that
The
gets
prob
me every single time.
the problem is that this convention is like one of the bigger conventions that's held. Um, I'm sure that it's either that because it's such a big con that it's expensive, or because it's such a big con, spaces go like that. So people need to be on it. Um, so I don't know. It's bothersome, but I agree, Tyler. Like I wish that, they would maybe background check or maybe like, you know, give a more fair chance to everybody, like somebody who really wants to be there but like couldn't or whatever the case because they missed their slot time. And again, I totally 100% support like those resellers. because like I supported a couple that I just liked during COVID because like that's how they make their money is going to cons. So if you find a reseller that you like and that you trust, that's great. There are a couple that I really like and that I trust. Like, especially like for an example, there is a really big reseller that is always at this anime con, and they had a Mega House Sakura figure, and they were selling
Mhm.
it for cost. Like the cost that you would buy it, like even just like on online right now. So there are stands that are very fair and very like good to their customers and whatnot. But then there's just stands that aren't, which is sad. But
Oh, it's 100% sad. And the thing that gets me, it's like, yeah, like, you got the good ones, the people that are doing this, they're like, oh, we have this product, but like, we're gonna give it to you for like $5 more or $10 more because we got to
right,
make something here because we paid the money to get it. We need to make some kind of
Mhm.
profit. But
right,
but when you sell it
exactly.
for like 150 bucks more, that's where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're being really fucking ridiculous.
Oh no, 100%. Like so one of the items that I bought from that stand last year, found it online. I paid 150 for it, just full disclosure. Found it online between 60 and 90. Mostly for 60. I would say 90 was like a higher reseller price, but like 90 is still much more palatable than $150. Like that was a big oopsie doopsie on my part. That was
Hmm.
really dumb. But it is what it is. I mean, learning, it's a life lesson and it's a learning lesson. I just got to be smarter about it. And again, if you don't want to pay con prices as well, there are plenty of sites that you can find like figurines. Because I typically, when I go to cons, I look for figures that are out of print. Um, because where else am I going to find them? Like just this
Mhm.
leisurely in good condition and has all the parts and likely has not been taken out of the box. So if you're not willing to pay the full like those prices, you can always search Google, look on Reddit. There's plenty of great sites that allow like that basically like other collectors sell their figures for at cost. You just need to be on it and make sure that you're on that post waiting for that somebody to be selling that figure. And then you can get it for just like the cost that they probably paid for it. But on that note, I want to shift gears and talk to you guys about some reality television, if that's okay. I want to get your reactions.
I love myself some
Maybe.
reality television.
I love myself some reality television.
Oh yeah.
So if you guys don't know, that are listening to this, I am a huge, huge fan of Bravo. Watch a lot of Bravo shows. And specifically, I want to talk about Real Housewives of Potomac real quick. I just started this series and I'm kicking myself for not starting it sooner. I love this franchise. The women are very intelligent, so the fights are even like better and even funnier at times with just like the quick wit. A lot of them can make up some crazy stuff like on the spot. um Giselle, who is kind of like she's one of the bigger figures in Potomac. She cracked me up because every season of Housewives, I don't know if you guys know this, but they have taglines. So a tagline is just basically at the beginning of the show in the intro, a song will play, it'll introduce all the women, they say a tagline. So Giselle's on season 1 was word on the street is that I'm the word on the street, which pretty good tagline, whatever. Season 2, which mind you, sometimes Housewives, they don't have the budget for the women to make new taglines, so sometimes they just reuse them. And Giselle was first, as she was last time, in the intro for season 1. Season 2 rolls around, and she goes, "Word on the street is," and I'm like, "Oh man, they didn't have a budget for new taglines." And she goes, "That I'm still the word on the street." And I was like, "That
Oh
is so
damn.
good and so clever
Mhm.
because it was like a big point of like it was kind of a focus point of the reunion of season 1 that some of the women were like, "I don't know what street you're talking about." And like it's just it was so good. But I wanted to get your reaction to one of the things that one of the women said to another woman during a fight. So let me pull up the quote really quickly. So basically, there was a fight between Karen and another woman named Ashley. Ashley is on the show. She's around our age, actually, during season 1, so she's like 26. And Karen is like probably closer to 50. So Ashley, there was a whole fight where Karen basically didn't want Ashley to interact with her daughter because she felt like they were too close in age, and she didn't want Ashley to leave an impression on her daughter or influence her daughter. Whatever. Fine. It got into a big blowout argument because Ashley basically told the other women that Karen didn't want any of them to be around her daughter because they were like, it was either because they were just like wild or because they were like terrible. I can't remember the wording that she used, but basically she made it way more dramatic than it actually was. And so Ashley, on national television and on the show, talked about how her and her husband use the pullout method. And it works 100% of the time. Yes.
Wait,
Um,
what?
like,
Yes.
The pull-out method?
Yes.
yes,
So before he doesn't like finish inside her, pulls it out and
and then yeah,
finishes that way
where it's like,
during intercourse.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
that was
So,
thrown through a left field with that one.
oh, and this is going to be even more out of left field. During an argument,
No.
Karen basically said, "You have an obsession with my daughter. I suggest that uh, I suggest that your husband should stay in and ejaculate so that you can
Oh my
start
god.
procreating and make your own family." I laughed so hard at that quote. That was probably the most unhinged. And mind you, I've watched a lot of reality television. I've watched Bad Girls Club. I've watched, Real Housewives of Orange County, where they get really messy. That was probably one of the most unhinged comments that I've ever heard in reality television.
I'm surprised they even let that on reality television.
I mean, it is what it is. And it's
Yeah.
funny because like Karen was like preaching etiquette a lot. Season 1 was, it seems to be like, it was supposed to be a different show and not Housewives. It seems like it was supposed to be like a show about etiquette. But then it turned into a Housewives show. Um, but yeah, hysterical. I died. And
That's
on that note, oh, what were you gonna say,
oh
Tyler?
no, it's just like, yeah, you shouldn't use the pull-out method because guess what? He seems to be really into my daughter.
He literally, I know. She was like, "Yeah, you should start your own. Like, he should stay in and ejaculate inside you so you can procreate and start your own family." I would have
I
lost my marbles if I
I
was at that table when that was said.
I don't know what I would do if I saw that on live tele on live or not live television, but, like, if I was, like, just sitting down watching it and then I would be rolling on the floor. I'd be
My
I'm
mouth
about to
was
be.
agape and I was laughing in disbelief. And Giselle did this really funny thing where she was trying not to laugh and she like looks away pretending like she's going to eat something and just starts laughing hysterically and then comes back like calm, cool and collected. And I was like, I couldn't have done that. I would have had to need multiple moments.
I would have been like, "Alright, that's the end of that episode."
Literally.
Um, I don't even I'm so, like, thrown through that.
I
Um,
know.
alright, guys, so now we are gonna transition into something that Justin's been wanting to talk about, and we're all here, we're all ears, and take it away.
All right. So I want to talk about the Kendrick Lamar versus Drake beef that's been going on for uh, about a good month or so. Full disclosure, we already talked about this in another recording. However, the audio for that recording got a little fucked up, so we're kind of redoing this segment again.
R.I.P. to
Oh,
that audio.
yep.
Honestly.
So yeah. Uh, and because of that, I probably will be going over less lyrics than I did last time, and we'll just cut out a lot of the fat, if that's okay with you guys.
Sounds good to me.
Full steam
All right.
ahead.
Yeah. All right. To start off, we're gonna take it to the top with at the end of 2023, Drake and J. Cole made a song together called First Person Shooter. And in that song, J. Cole says a line that's where he goes, love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K. Dot, Kendrick Lamar? Is it Aubrey, who's Drake's real name? Or me? We the big three like we started the league, but right now I feel like Muhammad Ali. So basically, J. Cole is giving a shout out to the three biggest rappers right now in this generation. Basically saying that J. Cole still feels like he's like slow, like ahead of the other two.
Mhm.
Fast forward to March 22nd of this year. Feature artist Feature comes out with this song called "Like That," and in that song, Kendrick is featured in it, and he kind of makes a little rebuttal about what J. Cole said in First Person Shooter, and he says, "Fuck the big three, it's just the big me," and basically saying like, "No, fuck J. Cole, fuck Drake. I'm the top dog in the rap business." And Kendrick has said before that he's made this is to his peers before. So this isn't something new from Kendrick
Mm.
Lamar. Like in I want to say like over 10 years ago, he was featured in a song with Big Sean called Control, and basically just told named every artist, every modern artist at that time, being like, fuck you, I'm gonna take all your fans and they're never gonna hear about you anymore. Because this shit is mine, essentially. So that kind of sets that pretty much set the bar for what is to come later on. A couple of weeks later, or maybe a week later, uh, on April 4th, J. Cole drops a song called 7 Minute Drill, which is basically his diss track to Kendrick Lamar. And I personally haven't heard the song, and I don't
Mhm.
really know too much about it, but I've heard, like, from what I've been told, it's not really nothing much noteworthy about it.
Mhm.
And so I'm not even gonna go over the song. The other reason is because a few days later, J. Cole apologizes to Kendrick Lamar, saying like, I'm sorry for making that diss track. It wasn't me." Stuff like that.
I'm sorry.
Typically, yeah,
I was gonna say that's my favorite part of this beef is that J. Cole was like, you know what? I don't want the smoke. And I think, like you said, Justin, it must not have been noteworthy for Kendrick to be like, I respect that. Like, I respect your redaction of this beef.
now see, in
He's like, no,
typically
no, no,
in
never mind.
yeah, and typically in when things like this happen, you don't back out. You're kind of seen as like a pussy. So it's like, all right, J. Cole. Everyone's like, all right, J. Cole, what are you doing?
In hindsight, so good for him.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry if anybody ever in existence stepped down from Kendrick Lamar from going like head to head and toe to toe with him, I'd respect it. Because here's the
I,
thing Kendrick, which we will get into, is extremely smart and extremely petty. Like, that is not somebody that I would want to go toe to toe with at all.
yeah, he's like amongst the rappers that like people would say you shouldn't go up against.
No, thank you.
Uh, yeah.
And it's completely
Um,
understandable that they're like, nope, no, actually, we don't want this. Like, please don't. Just leave me out of it. Just forget it. I said anything.
J. Cole was like, "Yeah, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm really sorry, Kendrick." Good
Literally,
move.
you want $1,000? Here's $1,000.
now, now, to be fair on like J. Cole's side of the song, apparently J. Cole does like exercises of some sort where he writes lyrics in within 7 minutes, and then his partner will make a beat in 7 minutes. That's why it's called the
Mm.
7 minute drill.
Oh,
So
That's
like,
okay.
that's so sick.
so like,
I think that's a
so like,
skill.
That's actually really cool, not gonna lie.
Yeah, like
so
that's such
if
a
there's a
skill.
reason why, yeah, but if there was a reason why it wasn't a good diss track, that's probably why he only did it within 7 minutes. But
Listen, I will give him credit because that is really cool. I've never heard of, like, anybody doing that.
so another J. Cole, I mean, moving on to Drake. A week later, Drake releases a song about called Push-Ups. Now, during this time, it wasn't just Kendrick that took shots at Drake. It was like almost the entire fucking hip hop industry was taking shots at Drake. So in the song, it wasn't just Kendrick that Drake was addressing to. It was people like Rick Ross, like another
Mm,
big name within the hip hop industry. And like
What?
like Rick Ross,
yeah.
even The Weeknd, uh
So he's just like, you know what? Fuck you, and nothing bad's gonna
pretty,
happen to me.
pretty much.
I'm
That's
surprised he's not.
crazy.
I'm surprised he's not
But
dead.
but also correct me if I'm wrong, Justin. Didn't like I know the Weeknd have beef with Drake prior to all of this and essentially being called out.
Mhm.
Did Rick Ross have beef with him too?
Not that I know of. I know that Rick Ross came out with this diss track to Drake.
Was it good? Did you listen to it?
I didn't even listen to that. Honestly, I
No.
didn't really. I wasn't really paying attention to this un, up until Meet the Grams came out, which is
Gotcha.
like
Which I
much,
feel like
which
that's when everybody got tuned in to all of this.
yeah. Um. So going back to push-ups, I'm not gonna go over about what Drake said about the other artists. It's we're only gonna focus on Kendrick and Drake. The biggest takeaway of what Drake said about Kendrick is a certain line where he says, "I be with some bodyguards like Whitney." Now, he could be referring to Whitney Houston, who was in a movie called Bodyguards. Or he could be talking about Kendrick's fiancee, who is named Whitney. Now, why is he saying a line called "I be with some bodyguards like Whitney"? We'll get to that reasoning later on in this recording
Hmm.
when we get to Drake's uh track Family Matters. Let's see. 11 days after Drake releases Push Ups, he releases another song called Tailor Made Freestyle. In this track is fucking weird because Drake uses AI voices of Snoop Dogg and Tupac, who are Kendrick Lamar's biggest idols.
Again, how is he not dead?
I know.
Because
Out
he
of
has too much.
and it doesn't matter, man. You just disrespected like
And
big
Tupac is
names.
dead.
Well, yeah,
Like, that's so disrespectful.
and even
Like,
Snoop Dogg, you don't fuck with them. You
Seriously.
you know their roots. Like, yeah, like he's smoking with Martha Stewart now, but like
I love Snoop Dogg.
I love Snoop Dogg too. He's an amazing singer. He's an amazing actor. He's overall just an amazing like he's an amazing celebrity. But you don't fuck with him,
No.
like
especially with music.
if this was like in the 90s or like early 2000s, like no, Drake
Completely
would not
different.
be getting away. Yeah, Drake would not be getting away with this shit.
100% no.
So yeah, it's a pretty atrocious for Drake to use AI voices, especially in this way, especially of one who's been passed away, and said person is an icon in the industry.
And on top
So
of
it's
that,
like, what the?
you're an artist. You
Mm-hmm,
should not be using AI to do anything.
mm-hmm,
Everything
Yeah.
that you produce should be your own skill. Like, even if you're trying to,
mm-hmm,
like, mimic a rap style or mimic someone else, like, you use your own voice. You don't just go out and just let, like, a computer just generate it. No, you don't do that. Like, if you're truly an artist and if you claim to be one of the best, like, you bet you should be in the studio recording that shit yourself.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
You should have range.
Also, quick clarification. So this came out even before Kendrick dropped a diss track?
Yep. So
Really?
Drake dropped back-to-back tracks.
Well, Kendrick didn't let him rest after that.
Nope. So Kendrick, uh, 6 days ish later, released a song called Euphoria. Now, why is it called Euphoria? Uh, it just so happens that Drake was a producer on the HBO show Euphoria with Zendaya.
Hmm.
And the themes of that show was uh, drugs, alcohols, all with minors, which is going to be a thing later on in the beef. This
Mhm.
so
Oh, that's gonna be
uh
a fun one.
mhm. um so the main takeaway of this track was that Kendrick alludes to knowing Drake's approach with Drake's next track,
Mhm.
and kind of like saying, I know what you have in store. Don't do it, or else I'll fuck you up. Basically, like giving his warning shots at Drake. Be like, you don't want this right now.
Wish you should have fucking
And
Oh,
listened.
you should
I
have
was just about to say, like, if Kendrick Lamar
like,
gave me a warning, I'd be like, "I'm so sorry." Like, I would pull a J. Cole. "I'm so sorry. I woke up on the wrong side
Here's
of
a
the bed
thousand dollars.
today." Actually, here's a thousand.
yeah. Mhm.
Let's double it, 2,000 for 2 songs.
I didn't mean to
Uh,
didn't mean to
I meant
interrupt you,
no
boss.
harm.
Yeah, I meant no harm. I come in peace.
I'm just a good boy.
Save my career.
uh, Kendrick Lamar also says things like, "Oh, you have like 20 ghostwriters versus me," which is like a lot of. There's been like a lot of speculation to the point where it's like almost fucking true that Drake has ghostwriters,
He
and
made
the
it
fact that
clear.
like,
He made it
yeah,
Yeah, he
he made
made
perfectly
it
that
clear.
very
clear.
clear.
He made that clear with the fucking AI voices that like you're not creative at all.
Like, everything
So
you
it's like, what the
do
fuck are you doing?
goes through a whole board,
Mhm.
probably,
Yeah.
before it gets approved. Like,
He also Kendrick also says that Drake is a fucking colonizer. So what does
Ah,
that mean?
Jesus.
Basically, he's saying that Drake it takes what essentially like black culture and kind of like makes it his stepping stone to elevate his own career, I guess, in some sort of way. I don't know if you guys like listen to a decent amount of Drake, but Drake has like used different accents and different sounds throughout his career. Like there was one
Yeah.
point where Drake was like doing Jamaican beats and talking like Jamaican accent, or he was doing like Atlanta beats and like doing that kind of bullshit right there.
yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest, like, I am a metalhead through and through, so, like,
Oh no, you're
Drake
fine.
was never on my radar. Like, I
Yeah,
grew
I
up with
listened to Drake a lot,
like,
like,
I
in college and whatnot, and I remember one dance coming out and being like, "Where did this accent come from?" Like it's almost like Spanish type of an accent, and it was just bizarre. Um, and it makes me wonder if because Meg The Stallion released a diss track called Hiss earlier this year. And she says in that there's a line that she says in that where she goes fake ass accents. So I wonder if she was shooting a shot at Drake. I'm
Doubt it.
sure.
Hmm.
And I'm almost positive. Is that
Yeah.
like it's too distinct, especially because there's no other artist that does that.
Yeah, and I wonder in hindsight too if she said these she's which Nicki Minaj jumped on by the way, and this is a tangent, but she says these hoes ain't mad at Megan, these hoes be mad at Megan's Law. And Megan's Law is basically, if I'm remembering correctly, it's that like pedophiles have to register as sex offenders in their neighborhood. So and the reason Nicki Minaj got so mad at that is because her husband is a registered sex offender, and same with her brother. Like she's surrounded by them. It's very bizarre. Allegedly. And not allegedly, actually. No, they're actually registered. But it makes me wonder if she was actually shooting shots at Drake, knowing what's to come in this Kendrick
Hmm.
beef.
I really do
Maybe.
wonder how much of this stuff is like premeditated and like planned and just
Hmm.
like waiting for
Hmm.
something to happen. And Kendrick's like, "Oh, I'll take the mantle on this one."
Oh, he would happily take the mantle based on, what Drake says next, essentially,
Well, Drake. Before we get to Drake's track, Kendrick drops another track called 616 in LA. Uh, Basically, the main takeaway of 616 in LA is that Kendrick is alluding to the fact that he has an insider in within Drake's group. So basically, Drake has a mole, is leaking information about what Drake is saying to Kendrick Lamar.
Mm.
Can we just take on the fact that like that actually happens? Like there's a
Yeah.
Hmm.
whole underground of like, all right, well, I got a person here who's giving me information. It's like, holy shit, this goes so
Hmm.
much deeper. Like that blows
Hmm.
my mind.
Since we last talked about this, there's been like some new information that's been coming out about that. I don't know too much details, and it's like kind of, and I feel like an unreliable source, so I don't want to delve too deep into it. S Well, yeah, there's like weird things about like, well, it's definitely, I would say it's definitely true that Kendrick has like an insider knowledge within Drake's group.
Hmm.
Um, but moving on, so we finally get to so Drake then drops a song called "Family Matters," and this song drops on the same day as when Kendrick dropped 616 in LA. Now, before we continue, I know we've been kind of like dick riding Kendrick Lamar here. And to be fair, I'm not a big Drake person. I'm more of a Kendrick Lamar fan. So I don't want there to be like there's gonna be bias, but I'm gonna try my hardest to not sound ultimate bias at the end of this. In Family Matters, Drake says that Kendrick Lamar beats his wife or his
Yeesh.
fiance. You could be saying, "Oh, that's just allegations." If we go back to 2012, Kendrick Lamar was featured in a song called "His Pain" by BJ the Chicago Kid, where he says, "6 months before that, I hit my woman. She hit the floor." Now, this is a lyric taken out of context. I have not listened to the whole song. I don't know the whole song. Just based on like glances at lyrics, it just seems like the song's about how a person is feeling guilty about doing horrible things and yet being idolized by other people for not and of course like those people who idolize him don't know these horrible things. That's just my understanding of the song. But yeah, Drake is saying that Kendrick Lamar is a wife beater.
Wow.
And of course, like, yeah, that's if true, which kind of looking like it's pretty horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible no matter how what context you even put it in. You know,
Hmm.
Mhm.
like it's legit just abuse
Yeah.
and stuff. But I already know, like and you said something about being like trying to be um non-biased or not biased, non-biased. It's hard for me to tell. I always forget what like the actual saying is, but
Hmm.
it's him opening up that can of worms with Kendrick though.
Hmm.
Like he's like, "Oh, you're gonna come at me for that? All right, let's go. We're running it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no backing out now.
And
This is gonna cost you $10,000 to get out of this and an apology."
yeah, I mean, like, this is really I feel like this is low-hanging fruit. Like, this is something that I'm sure based on, like, our conversations and whatnot that people have speculated about, that don't like Kendrick Lamar or even that do, um, for. So this is easy. It's in a song, it's documented, um,
Yeah.
based on dynamics and what we've seen with them, which we'll get into. Again, low-hanging fruit on Drake's part,
Hmm.
but could be true. And he might have some more insight than obviously we do because we don't know these people.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely was like, I'm gonna take the first shot. Little did he know that the first shot would be like, in my opinion, really bad for um him.
The first shot he
Taking this
took,
first, yeah,
the first shot he took
like
was the
Drake.
fatal shot to him.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly.
So Drake drops Family Matters. Did not listen to Kendrick's warnings at all. Within 30 minutes of Family Matters dropping, Kendrick Lamar drops Meet the Grams. This motherfucker didn't give Drake 30 minutes of any kind of glory.
I love that. I love the
Me too.
fact
Drake is like fucking celebrating, being like, I might have won this fucking battle. And Kendrick, 30 minutes later, is like, no, fuck you. You're a bitch. Get the fuck out of my face.
Drake didn't have a chance to even pour himself a drink.
No.
Seriously. I mean, like, going back to the fact, Kendrick Lamar is petty. I would not in a million years want to go up against him. No way. I wouldn't survive.
Kendrick Lamar said in the song Not Like Us that he has 10 other songs.
He's like,
I
It's
didn't
like,
even I didn't even catch that, and I listen to that all the time.
I love that.
uh,
That's awesome.
but, but going back to Beat the Grads, for those that don't know, Drake's real name is Aubrey Graham. So, uh, the title Meet the Grams is essentially alluding to Drake's entire family. Uh, Basically, in the first verse, Kendrick is saying that it addresses Adonis, who's Drake's son. Uh, if you didn't know Drake had a son, don't worry. Almost everyone else didn't know that Drake had a son either.
I'm
It
in that boat.
yeah,
Me too.
kind of because Drake has been hiding the fact that he had a kid, which is understandable. Like, you don't want, if you're like that famous, you kind of don't want your kid in that limelight.
Mhm.
But also, it could be the fact that Drake's or the baby mama is a former porn star.
Oh,
So, so maybe he doesn't want that kind of image on him. But
yeah, I don't
uh,
know. That's a hard one. Cause like, it's weird because it's like Drake's so mega famous,
mhm,
Like, everybody knows who Drake is pretty much. Like,
yeah.
I don't really know of anybody that wouldn't know who Drake was. Um,
Mhm.
Like, he has
And
impacted the, not movie, but, like, the TV show like, scene.
right.
I think Degrassi was the thing that he started with,
Yeah, he was in
Yes.
Degrassi.
and then moved to music, and so everything. So, like, a lot of people
Mhm,
who don't even, like, necessarily like his music still know about him, especially because he's talked about everywhere, you
Yeah.
mhm.
know? Like, it's just crazy. Like, he reached a
So it's
megastar
hard.
fandom.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's like, you know, he essentially, like, maybe he wanted, like, the family unit kind of a image or whatever, and because, like, he wasn't married to this woman and has a son, like,
Mhm,
maybe he didn't wanna broadcast his kid for that reason, because, like, it's not, like, the perfect family unit, whatever, but also on the same note, he could also just be like, "I don't wanna get my kid involved in all this stuff that I'm doing," because he knows, like, when you're in it and you're in Hollywood and you're in the industry, you kind of see the negative effects of, like, the public and being in the public eye, and I'm sure that he didn't want, like, his kid maybe to be a part of, like, Hollywood, which allegedly has a seedy underbelly. So, but at
yeah,
the same time, it could be, yeah, he doesn't like the fact that he had this woman that was a former porn star that he, you know, um, that, like, he has a kid with. Like, maybe he didn't want that broadcasted to the world and be connected to her like that.
mhm. Like, really, we'll never know, but
Yeah,
it's like,
we'll
it's
never
not
know.
really in our place to be like, "Drake, don't do this, like, why are you hiding kid? Shame on you," kinda thing. It's like, I don't
It's
know.
not the
Do what you gotta do as
public's
a parent, I guess.
it's not the public's position to grill someone for that, because there's
No,
gonna be
not
multiple
at all.
reasons. Like you were saying, like,
Mhm,
it
Right.
could just be just to protect them, especially because, like, especially, like, on TikTok and stuff, like, I see all the time of, like, these, girls that do OnlyFans or anything like that, like, they ruin, like, their siblings or sons or daughters' lives because you're putting
mhm,
your name out there with something like that, and it's like,
mhm,
"Oh, everything I do is always gonna be contributed to you."
Mhm.
And especially if, like, say, like, someone gets really big, their son comes out is like, "Hey, I wanna be a doctor." Well, your dad's public record is gonna be on your record because of who you're like, related to, you know?
mhm.
Mhm.
So it's kinda like going out there and doing that. That's why a lot of, like, celebrities change their name and stuff. But, like,
Oh, that
they
makes
they
sense.
changed it they publicly changed their name to, like, but, like, behind the scenes, they're still that same person, but they just don't want
Mhm.
their last name to be out there.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Continuing on with the verse, basically, Kendrick is like talking to Adonis, saying how your father, Drake, Aubrey Graham, is a piece of shit, and he's not a good person. Kind of lists things like he fucks escorts, he uses a thing called a pyrolysis V12 machine that he also mentions is in Euphoria to get skinnier and not actually, go to the fucking gym. And he also like
BBL BBL Jersey. Sorry, I had to.
no, you're good. Uh also says things like uh Drake would hide a kid to hide a kid to maybe hide another kid, things like that. Basically
Mhm.
like really breaking down Drake's character of being not a good person and being not a good role model. Then we get to verse 2, where Kendrick talks to Sandra and Dennis, who are Drake's parents. Uh, Kendrick tells to Sandra basically that Drake is not a good person, and then Kendrick tells to Dennis, "How dare you, Dennis, to raise a horrible person? Shame on you." And then Kendrick goes back to Sandra. This is where it gets uh a little spicy. For some people, maybe a little too spicy. Kendrick says that Drake is a sex offender, that kind of he has people under his paycheck that have done or may still do sex trafficking,
Jeez.
kind of alludes to pedophilia, and so, like amongst other things. Now, of course, I think everyone kind of knows about the Drake pedophilia thing of like he kind of grooms people or grooms young women to be like his to like
Just
kind of
yeah, just his crowd.
yeah, which is like yeah, yeah, that's kind of fucking
Yeah.
disgusting and also feels like kind of is true.
Yeah, because I was gonna say a screenshot's been circulating of Billie Eilish like celebrating her 18th birthday and like announcing it on Instagram, and like Drake commented like been waiting for this one or
Hmm.
something like that, like with heart eyes,
I love how he
like the
doesn't
heart
even
eyes
like
emoji.
try to hide it, you know? Like he's just going
No.
straight up like, "Oh yeah, no, when she's 18, guys." Oh,
Yeah,
it's gross.
exactly. It's weird. It's weird behavior.
Like he dated he dated Haley Bieber, Justin Bieber's wife. Like Drake has known her since she was 16, and when she turned 18, they dated.
Ugh,
That's a little fucking gross.
That's fucking disgusting.
that is
Now,
gross.
Kendrick is saying that Drake is a sex offender, right? I want to go to a fucking song called oh god, Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. That is quite the fucking title. He says, "You go get fucked up, and we show up at your rescue, carry you inside, get you some water, and undress you. I give you my all, and the next morning you'll forget who or why or how or when. Tonight will probably about to happen all over again."
So is he just coming out saying that he's gonna like drug this person? Like,
Or like fuck a drunk woman,
yeah, like
which is
purposely
considered
drug this
rape.
person and like
Girl,
this
what?
was
Yeah,
what the fuck?
it's a song called Houston, Atlanta, Vegas by Drake. And it's like,
Ew.
I need to take a shower.
what? Yeah. I was like, what in what world do you think that this is okay to say? Like, what are you doing?
I'm just so convinced that celebrities get brain rot to the point
Mhm,
where they think that they can say and do anything and they'll get away with it because you can throw money at problems and make them go away.
mhm,
And that's a
yeah,
perfect example. It's like he's basically saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna get these young girls wasted, sleep with them. They won't know what happened. Maybe we'll do it again the next morning, or maybe they'll just bounce." And it's like, that's gross behavior. Like you
mhm,
are saying that you're fully aware of what you're doing
mhm,
and you can't get consent that way, by the way. Just FYI.
mhm,
And
Good God.
that's why, like I was saying before, this is why I'm supporting of the movement of like blocking celebrities,
Yeah.
you
oh,
know, because like
yeah,
fuck these people that think they can get away with this shit. Like I'm so sick of like every time like hearing about it, it's like, okay, awesome, this should have been prevented. Why
mhm,
did we make this person famous?
yeah,
Mhm.
Like I think us as a society should look into that. Be more harsh with the punishments for people that do this shit. And then to make a song of it,
mhm,
literally, like what the fuck
Mhm.
is wrong with you? And you think that
also,
everyone's just
and
gonna sit there and be okay with it?
here's the thing, Drake has his own band of Swifties
Yes.
that
He
are
does.
like that are like, "No, he's not that kind of person. No, like, Drake is not like that." I know him, even though I don't, but I know him. It's like, what
I'm
the fuck,
sorry.
man?
If you're writing a song and you're okay putting that out there in the world, it's not just like a hot beat or something or whatever. It's a good song. Whatever. Not a good excuse. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be saying shit like that. I'm sorry. Like,
Mhm.
we don't know these celebrities personally. We know the facade that they're presenting to us to get us to buy into like them or
And the
like the
people
character that they're presenting.
and
Like
then you
Drake's a
should look at
character.
the oh, 100%. And you should look into the people that are supporting him.
Yeah.
Because if people are, like, ignoring the fact that, that's out there and that, like, they're like, "Oh, but it's a good song." It's like, "Alright, look at your character. Like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
what is blinding you here?" And maybe it's a lot going on.
It might be, big rings. Get it? Because that's a
I got
Drake
really
song.
big rings. And we do really
We got
big
a
things.
really big team, and we got some
This is
really
Oh
big rings. We got some
god.
really nice things. Ugh.
my inner
Sorry.
metalhead is like, "I have no idea what you're
No,
talking about."
it is it is a fucking horrible song. And
It's
if people are like,
terrible.
I don't get hip hop, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So sorry, going back to the song. So that's verse 2. Verse in verse 3, Kendrick says, "Dear baby girl, I'm sorry that man is not in your world." Who's baby girl? Is Kendrick alluding to the fact that Drake might have another kid that he's hiding from the public? Is this
You would
happening
be
again?
he would be well informed, he does have a mole.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, oh my god, the amount of TikToks I saw about that too.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think I sent one to you guys. Because again, this is a re-recording of like what we had
Mhm.
up before. I sent a TikTok to Matt and Justin. It was like, if you could find proof that I have 11-year-old, and it cuts away to One Piece. Uh,
Yeah.
like me and my bros trying to find out information.
Oh, but literally.
Um, but
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, now that we're talking about the mole again, I would not be shocked that the mole was like, "Yeah, he totally has another kid. He's on his payroll. I can talk to his
Yeah.
accountant right now." Like, and yeah, this woman's on his payroll.
And this
Drake makes
this
enough money to like
mhm.
have people be on a payroll and be like hushed.
And this wouldn't be the first time this has happened because Drake has been in a beef with another artist named Pusha T, who made
Mm,
a song that told everybody, "Hey, Drake has a son named Adonis," and it fucking
right,
happened.
right.
I wouldn't
So
be
it's like
surprised. I would
yeah.
not
So
be
it's like it.
surprised.
Mhm. So that's basically verse 3. Shocking people with the fact that Drake might have another daughter or another child. Verse 4 is now like Drake or Kendrick talking to Drake, being like, uh, it's basically a rundown of what he's been saying about Drake the entire time, how he's just a bad person in general.
Mm.
So that's Meet the Grams. The next day, Kendrick drops Not Like Us. It is a fucking bop. Awkwardly enough, it's a fucking bop. Even though he says that Drake's a pedophile, Drake likes A minors. People play this shit in the fucking clubs for some fucking reason. And I think it's weird, but whatever, you guys do you.
I don't think it's weird. It's a bop.
It
I'm
is a pop
sorry.
after listening to it.
It's too catchy. OV ho.
I can't, I'm sorry, I can't
A
take it seriously because
minor.
that's the fucking lyric. I'm like, how can you guys fucking chant that? Um, but there's like a very specific line where Baka has a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy, certified pedophile. Baka is an artist under Drake's label, so he gets paid by Drake, and has a pretty serious crime. And this is back in 2014. Baca was arrested and charged with forcing a 22-year-old woman into prostitution and taking her money. In 2015, he pleaded guilty to assaulting the woman and an unrelated weapons charge. He was sentenced to 6 months, but since he had already done 10 months in custody, he did not serve an additional 6 months. The woman refused to testify, so they had to drop the charges for procuring prostitution and human trafficking. She was working as
Jesus.
an escort and had an on and off relationship with Baca. She moved from Toronto by the time the trial was underway. Uh, Baca has prior armed robbery crimes, assault, discharging a firearm while committing a robbery, possession for the purpose of trafficking, and yeah. So this person is getting paid by Drake, and it's like Drake. Yeah, why is this person on your payroll? Like, why is he part of your group?
It just raises a bunch of questions. It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It does.
we should have been wondering this since like day one,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. You know, like
And like,
Yeah.
it goes into depth
yeah,
of like, hey, like we really need to look into this because otherwise, it's like this shit's just gonna continue happening. You know, like
it's
Yeah.
like,
it's.
Like, look into who's signed to his label and stuff because
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like, this was just in the clear, but it
mm-hmm,
wasn't like well-known information. Like, it's public information. Don't get me wrong, because like you can Google it and like find all of that out, but it wasn't well known.
No,
mm-hmm,
like it's just
and
baffling to me.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
also it kind of makes you wonder why Drake produced Euphoria
Right.
again. It's like, yeah, that show is a lot about what kind of Kendrick is talking about as Drake with. Also, in this song, I didn't know this, but Kendrick says that, or kind of says that Drake fucked Lil Wayne's girlfriend while Lil Wayne was in prison.
Oh,
Bringing in another rapper you shouldn't fuck with.
yeah.
Hmm.
Seriously.
So it's I get like back in the day, like Drake and Lil Wayne were like they were like best friends and shit. So you're gonna like stab your best friend in the back by fucking his girlfriend while you're in prison? Like, like what? Like it kind of goes back to Drake's character and just yeah, like why?
Bro thinks he can get away with everything, but Kendrick's
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
letting that happen. And honestly, good for Kendrick.
So we're going on to the final song called "The Hard Part 6." This is from Drake. He finally replies, "Uh, out of all the diss tracks, this is definitely the worst one. It is poorly written. It makes you really think, oh shit, this might be written by Drake himself, because this is absolute dog shit." Uh, in this song, Drake says he basically says, "Gotcha, Kendrick. I've been planning. I've been giving you this false information about my daughter this entire time. Yada yada yada. If that was true, why the fuck did you let it sit for 2 days? Where's the evidence for that? If you really gave Kendrick false information."
Hmm. Like, how do you disprove that? Like, you're trying to disprove a whole child
Mm-hmm.
that allegedly doesn't exist
Mm-hmm.
according to Drake. You can't disprove that though. Or you can't
Yeah.
prove that this child doesn't exist unless you got like a paternity test for the alleged child. I don't know.
He
That's
also had to
weird.
find that child to even do any of that too. You know,
Mhm.
Right.
like like the child has to like come forward and be like, "No, Drake's my dad. Here's the paternity test." He has to go and take the test, and it has to come back true. But
Isn't
at the
she
same,
young too?
yeah, she's
Allegedly.
11, I think.
Yeah, she's 11.
Okay.
Yeah, allegedly she's 11.
So regardless, like none of that information's gonna get out, and he's just gonna
Right.
Mhm,
continue denying it
mhm,
until that kid is gonna come out and be like, "Hey, listen, like, no, this is true,"
Right.
which probably will never happen. So that's just
mhm.
like a side of the story. It's just like, yeah, okay, like he's putting it out there, but there's no way to prove that it's real.
Mhm.
Um, there's like another part in the song where Drake breaks down a song that Kendrick made in his last album called "Mother I Sober," basically kind of making fun of the fact that Kendrick Lamar got molested. It's but that's not what the song is about. It's about his mother being sexually abused when she was younger. So Jake misinterpreted what the fuck the song was about.
You don't joke
Drake,
about
what are you
that.
doing?
You don't, you don't,
No,
you don't, you don't bring that up.
no,
Good lord.
no. You don't joke about that.
Why? Why what? What? Okay.
Drake wrote this. He fucking
Right.
wrote this.
You didn't run it past his 20 ghostwriters. That's right.
Hmm.
Right, because it wasn't it thought that like because he has a mole that he didn't know like what would be leaked, so he wrote this like by himself so that nobody would like know
Probably.
like feed information to Kendrick about what was coming. Like why would you ever in a million years, let's just say that Kendrick got molested, right? And that it wasn't his mom. He's directly trying to say it like Justin, are you going to say the lyric? Because if I'm remembering correctly, it's something along the lines of like you're so obsessed with pedophiles because you were molested as a kid. And it's like, what? Like what kind of argument or diss is that? That's just
Hmm.
weird.
That's just
You shouldn't want
admitting.
pedophiles to like be actively harming children as just
Hmm.
like a moral compass thing as a human.
And on top of that, it's like, you lost when you're trying to scourge any kind of thing,
Mhm.
Hmm.
So it's like, nah, he's just trying to hurt.
Continuing on, because there are more dog shit lyrics in this. Um, he says, "I've never been with no underage, but now I understand why this." Oh wait, no, sorry. But now I understand why this is the angle that you're really messed with. Just to clarify, I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was fucking young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested.
No. Oh
I'd have no
god.
words. I have zero
I'm gonna
words.
I'm gonna go back to something I said earlier. Drake's too famous. He
Hmm.
can throw money at problems to get them to go away. He would have not been arrested at this point because even if somebody had evidence, he could throw money at it to make it go away. It's it's just bizarre. It's bizarre. Like Drake it could throw money at any allegation to get it wiped clean. It's kind of like
Hmm.
how the Kardashians like allegedly control the media. You know what I mean? Like they don't I mean granted no, more in years more recent there's been a lot more negative connotation like in the media from them, but I think they fall under that like any media is good media kind of a
100%.
philosophy. But any narrative that they don't want to be seen or that they don't want seen isn't circulated. So Drake could throw money at it, regardless of who's trying to
Hmm.
take him down or expose him or whatever, allegedly. He could just throw money at it if this was happening to him and it
Hmm.
would just not circulate. It would magically go away. You know, that's a dumb line, in my opinion.
It's a very
No,
dumb line. I agree.
I don't think there's any disputing that is a dumb line because
Yeah.
it is there have been many cases where famous people have been doing illegal shit for decades
Mhm.
to only to then finally get caught, but they've still
Mhm.
been doing it for decades.
P
So
Diddy.
like you can't, yeah, P Diddy,
Right?
R. Kelly. It's like
Hmm.
you can't be too famous to be doing illegal shit.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let's see. He also says Drake is not a name that you gonna see on those a sex offender list. Yeah, no shit, because it's not Drake is not your real name. It's Aubrey Graham. Fucking idiot.
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't either. But at the same time, I mean, you can also just throw enough money to get your name off of anything.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Uh, only fucking with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I never look twice in no teenager.
Was Millie Bobby Brown name ever brought up?
No,
Jesus.
no, never mentioned.
So where is he pulling that
Peculiar.
information from?
Why are you breaking her up? Are you
Yeah,
aware
why
that?
her specifically?
Yeah,
Hmm.
why not Haley Bieber or
Or
Kylie Jenner
yeah, Kylie Jenner, I was gonna say allegedly.
or that 17-year-old on stage that you said she was dummy thick and you kissed her?
Ew.
Yep, that was another thing that was brought up like that was recorded like 10 years ago.
Didn't he find out that she was 17, like, after the fact, and he was like, "She was still thick, though?"
But
Or, like, something stupid like that, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Huh?"
in the first place, you don't kiss your fans.
Allegedly.
You don't bring your fans on stage. You don't know.
Right.
That goes
Mhm.
with anything. I don't care if they look like a
Like
middle-aged woman. You don't do that. That is
I
a
saw a
horrible
clip
look on yourself.
I saw a clip online where like Lil Wayne brought someone on stage and he was like, "Wait, how old are you?" And she was like 16 or 17. And she's like, "No, go back down. You're not coming up here."
See, and that is a like instance of someone doing it right. But like, hey, like before we do anything here, what's your age? Okay, never mind. Like you're too young. Go
Mhm.
back down. Bring your mom up.
Uh
Bring your mom up.
uh I guess like to finalize this, Drake does say that Kendrick, Kendrick Lamar and his label have been like kind of backing up the fact that Spotify was trying to take down R. Kelly's music, but they were kind of like against it. The reason for that though is because Spotify was saying if we don't like an artist or agree with their like whatever stuff, then we have the right to take down their music. So you can interpret it as saying we don't want to give Spotify this kind of power, otherwise they can deem anyone as inappropriate for their platform and
Mm,
therefore take
mhm.
down anyone. But you can never know.
Yeah, I can see, like, I can see both sides of the argument for that one. Like, I could see Drake being like, "So why are you supporting something that, came out to get an artist that, is convicted of crimes, against minors,
Hmm.
basically to back up that his music shouldn't be taken off the platform." But on Kendrick's defense, it's like, yeah, they could just be like, tomorrow, they could be like, "Yeah, we don't like Taylor Swift," and then take off all of her music because Spotify, or like, we don't want any rap music on Spotify anymore because we are solely going to be a metal streaming service, or like solely going to have like specific genres on Spotify. So that's a very weird line.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, that just about does it for the hard part six.
Well, that was fun to revisit.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun because there's a lot of information. Even when we recorded before, like I didn't know about, and I'm really happy that we decided to re-record this.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But on that note, is there anything else to say?
The whole time, so we're on camera. Nobody can see us, but because we're just voices, but we're on camera right now, recording over Discord. Tyler, the whole time, I know that you're wearing a Star Wars shirt, but literally my brain just saw the STA and I just thought of Rand Stap the entire time.
I've also been sitting here flipping knives and like
He has been.
Yeah.
I got ADHD, guys. I'm sorry.
I'm just quirky.
Yeah. All right, so make sure to subscribe, hit a like button if you guys want to see more. Make sure to follow our social media. We're gonna be rolling out with some TikTok soon. Um, but yeah, is there anything else you guys want to say?
Thanks so much for joining. Leave a comment down below. Whose side are you on and why?
Mhm.
Leave a compelling argument, especially if it's for, like either side.
And
But,
keep it
clearly we're kind of biased.
and keep it clean.
Keep it clean. Opinions are subjective, not objective. So these are our opinions.
Anyway, this has been the Reduce Podcast, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
BBLGC.